The stars looked different from here. Dr. Alex Harmon pressed her hand against the cold viewport of Earth's diplomatic ship, the Endeavour. After 30 years as a physicist, she still felt a childlike wonder when looking at space. Especially, now, as they approached the massive Galactic Council station that hung like a gleaming spiral in the darkness. Beautiful, isn't it? Admiral Patricia Wright moved to stand beside her. The older woman's gray hair was pulled into a tight bun, her uniform pressed perfectly. Hard to believe we're the first humans to see it up close. Alex nodded. And they only invited us because they think we're amusing. Patricia's smile tightened. We're observers only, remember that. For decades, humanity had been the cosmic joke of the Milky Way. Earth had stumbled onto faster-than-light travel almost by accident 50 years ago. While an impressive achievement for humans, the other species in the galaxy saw it as a toddler, finally learning to walk. Their own civilizations had mastered interstellar travel thousands of years earlier. Alex turned away from the viewport. Have you received any updates from home? Patricia checked her tablet. All systems normal. Your husband sent a personal message. Alex's heart beat faster as she opened the message from Daniel. The screen showed a simple text. Tesseract Phase 1 complete. We miss you. She smiled and tucked the tablet away. Back on Earth, Daniel led the top-secret project Tesseract. While the galaxy thought humans were just beginning to understand basic space travel, Earth had discovered something extraordinary. The seventh dimension. A layer of reality that the supposedly advanced aliens hadn't even theorized existed. Dr. Harmon, Admiral Wright, we're docking in 5 minutes. Captain Sam Rivera's voice came through the ship's communication system. The Illurian ambassador is waiting to greet us. Alex straightened her formal diplomatic uniform. The delegation consisted of just 5 humans, herself, Admiral Wright, Ambassador Kevin Mills, Cultural Specialist Olivia Green, and Security Chief Greg Foster. They were humanity's first representatives to the Galactic Council, a fact that filled Alex with both pride and nervousness. Remember, Patricia said quietly as they walked toward the airlock, we're here to learn, not to make waves. We smile at their jokes and take notes on their technology. Even when they treat us like children, asked Greg, checking his sidearm. Though the weapon was merely ceremonial, the Council would never see humans as a threat. Especially then, Patricia replied firmly. The Endeavour shuddered slightly as it connected with the massive station. The airlock cycled, and the door slid open to reveal their welcoming committee. Ambassador Ziv of the Illurian Collective waited with 2 assistants. The Illurians resembled tall, slender humans except for their blue skin and the delicate tentacles that extended from their forearms. Ziv's silver eyes regarded the human delegation with barely disguised amusement. Welcome, Earth representatives, he said, his voice translator giving his words a musical quality. We hope your journey was not too taxing for your vessel. Kevin Mills stepped forward with a practiced smile. At 60, he had been chosen as humanity's first ambassador for his calm demeanor and diplomatic skills. Thank you for your concern, Ambassador Ziv. The Endeavour performed admirably. Ziv's tentacles twirled in what Alex had learned was the Illurian equivalent of laughter. How wonderful. We've prepared simplified translation devices for your comfort. He gestured to one of his assistants, who handed out small circular pins. They attach to your clothing and will convert all galactic standard languages to your English. Alex accepted the pin, noting that it was clearly designed for children, with large, colorful buttons and simplified controls. Another small insult, but she kept her face neutral as she attached it to her collar. The Council is most eager to welcome Earth as observers, Ziv continued. It's not often we get to witness a species taking their first steps into the galactic community. We're honored by the invitation, Kevin replied smoothly. Please follow me, I'll show you to your quarters. As they walked through the station's vast corridors, Alex tried not to gape at the technology surrounding them. Beings of all shapes and sizes moved through the halls. Some floated on personal gravity platforms, others walked on tentacles or multiple legs, and some appeared to be made of living crystal or gas contained in mobile units. Their quarters were located in a distant section of the station, far from the central chambers where important species resided. The rooms were small, with furniture clearly modified from designs meant for younger members of advanced species. The walls contained embedded screens with painfully obvious instructions on how to use basic station technology. The grand reception begins in 3 hours, Ziv informed them. There you'll be formally introduced to the council representatives. Over 200 species will be in attendance. His tentacles twirled again. Many are quite excited to meet real humans. You're something of a curiosity. After he left, the delegation gathered in the common area of their quarters. Well, that was humiliating, Olivia said, sitting on a chair designed for a being with a different body structure. They've basically put us in the children's section. Kevin sighed. We knew this would happen. The Galactic Council sees us as primitives who got lucky. If they only knew, Alex whispered, thinking of the Tesseract project. Patricia shot her a warning look. They won't know until the right time. For now, we play our part. Alex's communicator vibrated. Another message from Daniel. Test run successful. Dimensional fold achieved at 17%. The galaxy won't be laughing for long. She smiled to herself as she looked around at their patronizingly designed quarters. Let them underestimate humanity. Let them laugh and make their jokes. Soon they would understand. Earth wasn't just catching up to the galactic community. It was about to leap far ahead. The seventh dimension was humanity's secret weapon, and not a single alien species had even glimpsed its existence. Alex straightened her uniform, ready for the reception. She would endure their condescension for now, knowing that everything would change when Earth's seventh dimensional ship activated. The Endeavor might be a joke to them, but the ship being built in secret back home, that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The grand hall of the Galactic Council station sparkled with light that bounced off crystalline decorations hanging from the high ceiling. Alex had never seen so many different alien species in one place. Beings with multiple limbs, floating, gas creatures contained in special suits, and entities made of what looked like pure energy mingled together. The noise was overwhelming. Clicks, whistles, electromagnetic pulses, and translated speech all mixing into a storm of sound. Stay close, Admiral Wright murmured to the human delegation as they entered. Remember, we're here to observe and learn. The room quieted as they walked in. Hundreds of alien eyes, sensory organs, and other perception apparatuses turned toward them. Alex felt like a zoo animal on display. Ah, the Earth delegation has arrived, announced a tall, crystalline being from the center of the room. Light refracted through its body as it moved. I am Council Leader Xanthor. Welcome to our humble gathering. Ambassador Mills stepped forward and bowed slightly. On behalf of Earth and humanity, we thank you for your invitation. A ripple of something like laughter moved through the crowd. Alex noticed several species making gestures to each other while looking at the humans. Come join us, Xanthor said, his voice translated perfectly by their pins. Tonight is a special occasion, the formal introduction of humanity to our galactic community. As they moved deeper into the crowd, Alex couldn't help but notice the thinly veiled amusement on many alien faces. A group of tall, insect-like beings chittered as they passed. Is it true they still use chemical rockets to reach their own moon? One asked, making no effort to lower its voice. I heard they discovered faster-than-light travel by accident, another replied. They were trying to make a new cooking device. More. Laughter followed. Alex clenched her jaw but kept walking. A server floated by with drinks in oddly shaped containers. The liquid inside glowed with different colors. Greg reached for one, but Olivia gently stopped him. Remember the briefing, she whispered. Some of these might be toxic to humans. Stick with what we know is safe. A blue-skinned Medusan approached them, its gas cloud head swirling with patterns. Earth people, how delightful. I have studied your species with great interest. Its translation came through with an oddly patronizing tone. Your planet's development has been so unique. Thank you, Kevin replied politely. We're eager to learn from more established species. Of course, the Medusan said. We all remember our early days in space, though most of us mastered clean energy before splitting atoms for weapons. It made a bubbling sound that was clearly laughter. Before Kevin could respond, a chime rang through the hall. All attention turned to a raised platform where Xanthor stood with several other aliens. Esteemed representatives of the Galactic Council, Xanthor began, today marks a historic occasion. We welcome the newest observers to our community, humanity from the planet Earth. Polite applause followed, though Alex noticed many beings were making gestures she assumed were their species' equivalent of eye-rolling or smirking. As is tradition, Xanthor continued, we invite our new friends to share their latest technological achievement. We're all curious about humanity's unique approach to space travel. Alex felt her stomach tighten. This wasn't part of the briefing. She glanced at Patricia, who looked equally surprised but kept her face carefully neutral. Admiral Wright, Xanthor said, perhaps you would do us the honor? Patricia stepped forward, her military training evident in her calm demeanor. We appreciate the Council's interest. Earth's latest development is a modified ion drive that increases efficiency by 30% over our previous models. A moment of silence fell before the room erupted in undisguised laughter. A six-limbed Zolarian in the front actually fell over from what appeared to be uncontrollable mirth. Ion drives, it choked out between fits of laughter. My ancestral bacteria used more sophisticated technology. More laughter followed. Even the typically stoic Draxians were vibrating their exoskeletons in what Alex recognized as their version of hysterics from the cultural briefings. Patricia stood straight, her face expressionless despite the mockery. A purple-skinned diplomat with 4 eyes approached the platform. Perhaps in another few centuries they'll discover quantum folding, he announced to more laughter. We should start a betting pool on when they'll invent proper gravity manipulation. Alex felt her cheeks burning with embarrassment and anger. She glanced at her fellow humans. Greg looked ready to punch someone. Olivia was studying the floor. Kevin maintained his diplomatic smile, though it had grown strained. We understand our technology seems primitive by your standards, Kevin said, stepping forward to stand beside Patricia, but we are eager learners and value this opportunity to observe the Council. How charming, said a gaseous entity floating nearby. They actually admit their inferiority. Most young species try to pretend they're more advanced than they are. Alex's communicator vibrated in her pocket. She discreetly checked it, seeing another message from Daniel. Tesseract online. Phase 1 successful. Dimensional fold stable at 25%. She suppressed a smile and slipped the device back into her pocket. Let them laugh. Xanthor raised a crystalline arm for silence. Now, colleagues. Let us not be unkind to our guests. We were all young species once. His tone was that of an adult gently chiding children for mocking a baby's attempts to walk. Humanity has shown remarkable persistence despite their limitations. Thank you, Council Leader, Kevin said with genuine grace, and we have much to learn. The official reception continued, with various diplomatic representatives approaching the humans with thinly disguised curiosity, like scientists studying unusual specimens. Each conversation included subtle or blatant reminders of humanity's technological backwardness. Is it true you still use wheeled vehicles on your planet? Asked a floating orb being. Do you really sleep for a third of your day? Questioned another, its multiple eye stalks blinking asynchronously. Your communication technology relies on satellites? How quaint. Through it all, the Earth delegation maintained their composure. They answered questions, absorbed information, and endured the condescension with dignity. Later, when they returned to their quarters, Olivia finally let her frustration show. That was humiliating, she said, collapsing onto a chair. They treated us like amusing pets. Did you see the Dracalian ambassador? He actually patted me on the head, Greg added, his face dark with anger. Kevin sighed. We knew this would happen. Our job is to endure it and learn what we can. Alex's communicator buzzed again. She read the message and smiled. What is it? Patricia asked. A note from Daniel, Alex replied, looking up at her fellow humans with newfound confidence. The Tesseract project just reached 30% stability. They're ahead of schedule. Patricia's stern expression softened into a small smile. Good. Let them have their fun at our expense. They won't be laughing much longer. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, Daniel Harmon stood in the heart of the most secret facility on Earth. The chamber was enormous, built inside a hollowed-out mountain and shielded from detection by layers of rock and advanced materials. Powerful, lights illuminated a ship unlike any other built by human hands. The USS Pathfinder. From the outside, it looked almost ordinary. A sleek vessel about 200 meters long with clean lines and minimal external features. But inside, and etched into its hull in subtle geometric patterns, was technology no other species in the galaxy had even imagined. Status report, Daniel said, turning to the team of scientists and engineers who surrounded him at the main control station. Dr. Laura Fernandez looked up from her screens. Dimensional fold stable at 25%, sir. Power systems functioning at optimal levels. Daniel nodded, checking his own readings. For 5 years they had worked in secret, ever since that fateful day when an experiment in quantum computing had produced impossible results, calculations completing before they started. Further investigation had revealed something extraordinary. They had accidentally created a processing pathway through what they now called the seventh dimension, while the galaxy's elder races had mastered the manipulation of the fourth, fifth, and even sixth dimensions to bend spacetime. Humanity had stumbled upon something different, a dimensional plane that existed perpendicular to conventional spacetime, but could be accessed through specific resonance patterns. Let's increase power to the fold generators, Daniel instructed. Take us to 30% gradually. Engineer Ben Wilson nodded, his fingers dancing across the control panel. Increasing power by 2% increments, sir. On the main view screen, a 3D representation of the Pathfinder glowed, surrounded by a complex web of geometric lines that represented the seventh dimensional fold they were creating. As Ben increased the power, the lines shifted and expanded, forming patterns that seemed to bend in ways that hurt the eyes if watched too long. 27%, 29%, 30% achieved, Ben announced. Fold is stable. A cheer went up from the team. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. Good work, everyone. Laura, how are the navigation calculations coming? Laura pushed her glasses up and gestured to her screen. We've mapped the resonance pathways between here and the Galactic Council Station. Based on our models, the Pathfinder should be able to make the jump in less than 3 seconds. Daniel raised his eyebrows. 3 seconds to travel over 50,000 light-years? That's better than our initial estimates. The seventh dimension is more efficient than we thought, Laura explained. Our latest research shows that distance in normal space has almost no impact on travel time through the dimensional fold. The limiting factor is our ability to create a stable aperture and maintain it during transit. Daniel walked closer to the ship, admiring the subtle engravings on its hull. To the untrained eye, they looked like decorative patterns, but each line and curve was precisely calculated to help generate and maintain the seventh dimensional fold. And the aliens have no way to detect this technology? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Captain Ryan Jordan, the military liaison to the project, shook his head. Not a chance. Their sensors are designed to detect manipulation of the dimensions they understand. The seventh dimension is completely outside their frame of reference. It would be like trying to hear ultraviolet light. Sir, called out communications. Officer Lily Chen. I've received an update from Dr. Harmon at the council station. She reports that the aliens are still completely unaware, but... Lily hesitated. But what? Daniel asked. The Earth delegation is facing significant mockery. Apparently the council finds our technology highly amusing. Daniel's jaw tightened. He knew Alex would endure it with grace, but he hated to think of her and the others being ridiculed by beings who thought themselves superior. Well, he said after a moment, they won't be laughing much longer. Let's proceed with the final calibrations. I want the Pathfinder ready for the Admiral's signal. He turned to the assembled team of 50. Earth's brightest minds who had been secretly working on the project. What we've achieved here will change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Not because we want to prove ourselves better than other species, but because we deserve a seat at the table. Equal respect, the right to be taken seriously. The team nodded in agreement. They had all seen the recordings from previous contacts with alien species, the condescension, the barely hidden amusement, the treatment of humans as clever pets rather than equals. "Let's run a full systems test," Daniel ordered. "I want to know that every component is functioning perfectly before we activate." For the next several hours, the team ran diagnostic after diagnostic. The ship's conventional engines, included, mostly as backup and to maintain the illusion of normal propulsion, were checked and rechecked. The seventh-dimensional fold generators were tested at various power levels. The navigation systems were calibrated to an accuracy of 1 meter over a distance of 50,000 light-years. "All systems are green," Laura reported finally. "The Pathfinder is ready." Daniel checked his watch. According to the schedule, the Earth delegation would be attending another council session right now, their second day of being observer guests. He took out his secure communicator and sent a message to Alex. "Tesseract, at 100%. Pathfinder ready." As he waited for her reply, he walked around the ship one more time. The Pathfinder represented the greatest achievement in human history, not just technological but philosophical. While other species had developed their understanding of dimensions through gradual progression over thousands of years, humanity had made a quantum leap. "It wasn't luck," he murmured to himself. "It was our different way of thinking." That was the irony that the alien species didn't understand. What they saw as humanity's weakness, our emotional decision-making, our intuitive leaps of logic, our willingness to embrace seemingly contradictory ideas, had led to this breakthrough. The discovery of the seventh dimension had come not from careful logical progression, but from a mistake, followed by curiosity, followed by an intuitive understanding that defied conventional physics. His communicator beeped with Alex's reply, "Council, in session, standing by for demonstration." Daniel took a deep breath and turned to the control room. "Places, everyone. We're go for activation on the Admiral's signal." The team moved with practiced efficiency, taking their stations. The lights in the facility dimmed slightly as power was diverted to the Pathfinder systems. "Fold generators. At standby," Laura reported. "Ready to engage on your command." Daniel nodded, his eyes fixed on the main view screen where the geometric representation of the seventh-dimensional fold waited like a flower ready to bloom. "Now we wait," he said quietly. And somewhere, 50,000 light-years away, Alex stood in the galactic council chamber, surrounded by beings who thought themselves far superior to humans, waiting for the perfect moment to change everything. 3 days into the council meetings, Alex felt her patience wearing thin. The Earth delegation had endured endless lectures, condescending explanations, and thinly veiled mockery. Today's session focused on interstellar travel regulations, with special attention to emerging species, a category that seemed to exist solely for Earth. "For the safety of all," a tall Keplerian diplomat was saying, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, "we suggest restricting human vessels to designated slow lanes. Their limited navigation systems pose a risk to regular traffic." Several council members nodded in agreement. One added, "Perhaps we should assign guide ships to accompany Earth vessels, similar to how we handle Yolarian cargo drones." Alex glanced at Admiral Wright, who sat with perfect military posture, her face revealing nothing. But Alex could see the tight grip she maintained on her tablet. Alex's communicator vibrated silently in her pocket. Discreetly, she checked the message. "Tesseract at 100%. Pathfinder ready." It was time. She caught Patricia's eye and gave a tiny nod. The Admiral returned it almost imperceptibly. The Taurian diplomat was now explaining proper etiquette when encountering vessels from superior civilizations. His large bovine face showed no awareness of how insulting his words were. "Run and remember to always yield passage, as your reaction times are significantly slower than most species," he droned on. Alex stood, interrupting him mid-sentence. Hundreds of alien eyes turned toward her in surprise. Humans had been silent, observers until now. "Honored Council," she said clearly, "Earth would like to formally demonstrate our new propulsion system. With your permission, we've arranged a small demonstration." Confused murmurs spread through the chamber. Ambassador Mills looked alarmed. This wasn't part of their agreed strategy. Only he, Admiral Wright, and Alex knew about the true plan. Council. Leader Xanthor's crystalline form shimmered with amusement. "By all means, Earth representative. The Council would be entertained by your demonstration." Several delegates chuckled. The Zolarian commander whispered loudly to his neighbor, "Perhaps they've invented slightly faster ion drives." "Thank you," Alex said, activating her communicator. She took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "Pathfinder, commence demonstration protocol." For a moment, nothing happened. The chamber remained silent, the alien delegates watching with expressions ranging from curiosity to mockery. Then alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the chamber as proximity sensors activated. The massive view screen at the front of the room automatically switched on, showing the space directly outside the station. A ship had appeared. It simply wasn't there one moment, and the next it was, floating elegantly outside the Council station. Unlike other human vessels, the Pathfinder had a sleek, almost predatory design. Subtle geometric patterns covered its hull, glowing with a faint blue light. "Impossible," gasped a Centaurian scientist, his tentacles waving in agitation. "No ship, registered on approach vectors." "Alert," called a security officer. "Unknown vessel has appeared without warning at coordinates 573. The chamber erupted in confusion. Some delegates stood to get a better view of the screen, while others demanded explanations from their aides. Admiral Wright rose calmly to her feet. "Allow me to introduce the USS Pathfinder," she announced, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Humanity's first seventh-dimensional vessel." "Seventh dimension?" sputtered the Keplerian diplomat. "There is no such thing." Before anyone could respond, the Pathfinder on the screen suddenly distorted. Its shape seemed to fold in on itself in ways that hurt to look at directly. A flash of geometric light erupted around it, and then it was gone. The alarms blared again, as the ship simply vanished. "Where did it go?" demanded Xanthor, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation for the first time since the humans had arrived. Alex smiled. "Home." For exactly 3 seconds, the chamber remained in stunned silence. Then the proximity alarms triggered once more. The Pathfinder had reappeared in exactly the same position outside the station. The communication system chimed, and Daniel's voice filled the chamber. "Pathfinder to Council Station. We've just completed a round trip to Earth and back. Transit time 3 seconds. The Council erupted into chaos. "This is a trick," shouted the Zolarian commander, his antennae twitching frantically. "Some kind of holographic illusion." Alex shook her head. "I assure you, Commander, it's quite real. The Pathfinder has just traveled over 53,000 light-years in 3 seconds. "Impossible," whispered a Medusan scientist, his gas cloud form rippling with agitation. "The energy requirements alone would be astronomical using conventional dimensions," Alex agreed. "But the seventh dimension doesn't operate under the same constraints." Council leader Xanthor floated forward. His crystalline form had lost its usual luminosity. "What is this seventh dimension you speak of?" Alex stepped to the center of the chamber. For 3 days, she and her colleagues had endured mockery and condescension. Now she stood tall as she addressed the stunned council. "The seventh dimension exists, perpendicular to conventional space-time," she explained. "While your civilizations have mastered manipulation of the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions, humanity took a different path. We discovered a dimensional plane that allows transit without the limitations of normal space." The Council's scientific advisors were frantically analyzing the sensor data from the Pathfinder's appearance and disappearance. "The energy signature is unlike anything in our records," one reported, clearly bewildered. They somehow folded space without quantum distortion. Not through conventional dimensions, Alex corrected. Our approach bypasses the need for quantum distortion entirely. Admiral Wright stepped forward to join Alex. The Pathfinder can reach any point in the galaxy in seconds. Distance is almost irrelevant. A heavy silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. Humanity had not just caught up to the galactic community. They had leapfrogged ahead in a single bound. Trade routes that took weeks could now be traversed in seconds. Exploration of distant galaxies became possible. The strategic balance of power had shifted overnight. Why reveal this now? Xanthor asked finally. You could have kept this technology secret, developed it further. The question hung in the air. Every delegate leaned forward, waiting for the answer. Because that's not who we are, Admiral Wright replied simply. Humanity wishes to join the galactic community as equals, not through deception. We believe all species, regardless of their development timeline, have something valuable to contribute. Alex nodded in agreement, watching the stunned faces of beings who, just minutes ago, had been mocking humans for their primitive technology. BD, Pathfinder represents not just a technological achievement, she added, but a different way of thinking. While other species developed their understanding of dimensions through gradual progression over thousands of years, humanity made an intuitive leap. Ambassador Mills stepped forward. Earth is prepared to discuss sharing aspects of this technology with the Council, under appropriate agreements. We believe in cooperation, not dominance. As he spoke, the Pathfinder executed another dimensional jump outside the station, disappearing and reappearing instantly in a different position. Each time, the geometric patterns on its hull flashed with blue light, leaving a fading afterimage in space. The Council chamber remained silent, hundreds of alien beings watching in shock as the impossible ship danced through space, rewriting everything they thought they knew about the universe. No one was laughing anymore. The day after the Pathfinder's demonstration, everything changed. Earth's small plane quarters suddenly became the busiest location on the entire Galactic Council station. Species that had previously ignored or mocked humans now lined up outside their door, waiting for a chance to speak with the delegation. This is the 12th meeting request from the Illurian Collective, Olivia said, scrolling through her tablet. And the Zolarian High Command has invited us to a special diplomatic dinner tonight. Alex smiled as she sipped her coffee. The same Zolarians who suggested restricting our ships to the slow lanes? The very same, Olivia confirmed with a smirk. Ambassador Mills entered the common room, looking tired but pleased. He had been in non-stop meetings since dawn. The Council has called an emergency session for this afternoon. They want a full briefing on seventh dimensional technology. What are we authorized to share? Greg asked, looking up from his security station. Admiral Wright joined them, her uniform freshly pressed despite the chaos. We'll provide basic theoretical information only. The actual mechanics of generating and maintaining a dimensional fold remain classified. Alex nodded in agreement. The plan had always been to reveal enough to prove humanity's achievement, without giving away the critical details that made it possible. Earth would not repeat the mistakes of the past when advanced technology was freely shared before its implications were fully understood. What about the Pathfinder? She asked. Daniel reports that several species have attempted to scan it with their most advanced sensors. Let them try, Patricia said with a rare smile. Without understanding the basic principles of seventh-dimensional physics, their scans are useless. It's like trying to measure radio waves with a ruler. A chime at the door interrupted them. Ambassador Ziv of the Illurian Collective stood outside, his blue skin looking slightly paler than before. Earth representatives, he said as the door opened, his tentacles perfectly still rather than twirling in amusement as they had during their first meeting. Council Leader Xanthor requests your immediate presence in his private chambers. The walk through the station was very different. This time, aliens who had previously stared at the humans with mockery or pity now watched them with newfound respect or barely hidden fear. Some even bowed slightly as they passed. Council leader Xanthor's private chamber was a beautiful room with walls that seemed to be made of living crystal. The crystalline being himself floated in the center, his form glowing with multiple colors that shifted and changed. "Thank you for coming," he said as they entered. For the first time, there was no condescension in his tone. "Please be seated." The furniture had been replaced with comfortable human-style chairs, another small but significant change. "I'll speak frankly," Xanthor said once they were settled. "Your demonstration yesterday has unsettled the Council. Many species are concerned about the strategic implications of your technology." Kevin nodded calmly. "We understand their concerns. That's why we chose to reveal the Pathfinder openly, rather than use it in secret." "A gesture that has not gone unnoticed," Xanthor acknowledged. "But I must ask, why now? Why not continue your development in secret until you had a fleet of such vessels?" Alex exchanged glances with Patricia before answering. "Because secrecy breeds fear, and fear leads to conflict. Earth has had enough of both in our history." Xanthor's crystalline form pulsed with light as he considered her words. "A wise perspective, one that I must admit few would expect from such a young species." "Perhaps that's been the Council's mistake," Kevin suggested gently. "Judging species by their age rather than their potential." The crystalline being shimmered in what might have been embarrassment. "Perhaps," he conceded. "The Council has existed for over 20,000 years. In that time, we have developed certain assumptions. Assumptions that may need revisiting," Patricia noted. Xanthor floated closer to them. "Indeed. Which brings me to the purpose of this meeting. The Council has voted unanimously to offer Earth full membership status, effective immediately." The humans tried to hide their surprise. Full membership typically took centuries to achieve, with species slowly advancing through various observer and associate levels. "We are honored," Kevin replied carefully. "But may I ask why the sudden change?" Xanthor's form flickered with what might have been amusement, but genuine amusement this time, not mockery. "Let us be honest, Ambassador. Your technology has made Earth impossible to ignore. The seventh dimension changes everything. Travel, communication, possibly even energy production. The galaxy must adapt. And the Council prefers to have us inside your structure rather than operating independently," Patricia observed shrewdly. "As I said, let us be honest," Xanthor responded. "Yes, that is part of the calculation, but there is more." His crystalline form softened slightly. "Your approach to this revelation has been unexpected. Many species, upon discovering such an advantage, would use it for dominance or conquest. That's not humanity's goal," Alex said firmly. "So we have observed," Xanthor agreed. "Your willingness to share knowledge while maintaining appropriate security shows wisdom beyond your years as a spacefaring civilization." After discussing the details of Earth's new membership status, the humans returned to their quarters to prepare for the emergency council session. Along the way, they passed the Illurian ambassador, who bowed deeply. "Dr. Harmon," he called as they passed, his tentacles completely still. "I wish to personally extend an apology for any misunderstandings during your arrival." Alex paused, remembering the condescension and mockery. "No apology needed, Ambassador. We all have much to learn from each other." Back in their quarters, Alex contacted Daniel on Earth. His face appeared on the screen, tired, but happy. "How are things at the Council?" "Different," she said with a smile. "Very different. The Pathfinder was a complete success. We've been offered full Council membership." Daniel's eyebrows rose. "That was faster than expected. Nothing like rewriting the laws of physics to get people's attention," Alex replied with a laugh. "The team here is celebrating," Daniel said. "The second Pathfinder-class vessel begins construction next week. How soon will you be home?" Alex glanced at Admiral Wright, who nodded. "Actually, we'll be staying a bit longer. There's a lot to discuss with the Council now that we're full members." Daniel understood. "I miss you." "I miss you too," she said softly. "But what we've accomplished here, It's going to change everything, Daniel. Not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. After ending the call, Alex joined the others as they prepared for the emergency session. Through the viewport, she could see the Pathfinder still stationed outside, its geometric patterns glowing softly against the backdrop of stars. Smaller alien vessels kept a respectful distance, occasionally scanning it with their sensors. Ambassador. Mills adjusted his formal attire. Ready to make history again, everyone? As they walked toward the council chamber, Alex thought about how quickly everything had changed. 3 days ago, they were barely tolerated observers. Today, they were equals, perhaps even leaders in a new era of galactic development. The galaxy had laughed at humanity's primitive technology, their emotional decision-making, their biological inefficiencies. But no one was laughing now that Earth's seventh-dimensional ship had activated. Instead, they were asking for humanity's help, and Earth, with wisdom that surprised even themselves, was ready to give it.